You know, a very warm welcome to BBC Radio Scotland, Damon.
Thank you very much. I was just thinking about that line, I want a horse, a sheep, good night's sleep. It's not much to ask for, is it?
It's not much to ask for. Yeah, I kind of chose that, and then I was thinking about what you're doing and realising that there is a kind of connection there with what you're embracing in the new album and generally, because apart from anything, you've got another place in Iceland, haven't you, which I think has had a huge influence on your brain. Did you spend time there during lockdown?
Yeah, it's had a huge influence on my identity as well, because I'm actually an Icelandic national.
Wow. When did that happen?
I can only say that in Scotland. I can't say that in England, otherwise I get...
Do you get pelters?
Yeah, I get stoned. No, I'm dual nationality now. No, it was a wonderful, a very generous gift from the Icelandic people.
Yeah, so that is really interesting, because that is a major, well, a physical move, but also clearly you divide your time between two places, at least two places.
Well,
but also,
I haven't been there since last February.
Right.
Beginning of March last year, when I just was told I had to come home.
Right. Okay.
So, because I was working on the Nearer the Fountain. And it was kind of.
But presumably, though, doing that, though, having that nationality, that must mean something in terms of your psyche and your heart and your soul. It's a place that means a lot to you.
Yeah, it was something that happened sort of by chance, really. I was watching a National Geographic program in about 1995, and it was all about Iceland, and I kind of sort of. The amazing panoramic shots of black sand beaches, and I had this recurring dream as a kid of flying over black sand, and I immediately identified the two together, and it was like it was a calling really to go there, and I have my mother's side, I have Danish ancestry, so I suppose there was some sort of yearning to reconnect with my Nordic roots.
Yeah. No surprise that the two shows tonight at 5 o'clock and 8:30 at the International Festival are sold out. But you have actually managed to get a few gigs in over the last few weeks, I think.
No, it's going to be strange, because we did 2 gigs sold out at the O2. We actually opened it up again, which was a joyous occasion. Yeah. And then I went down to Cornwall and played to 50,000 kids. So it's coming back to sort of Scotland, where it's sort of still the protocols of like the past, as far as England is concerned, are still in play. It's going to be. I mean, I had got my head around it beforehand, but when I've tasted freedom, so to speak, and I'm coming back. I'm coming back to the sort of, obviously the necessary.
Of course.
It would have been nice if a few more people had been allowed in to see the shows, but that's just the way the festival kind of has done it. So,
but
anyway, we will be, we will entertain everybody.
Yeah, of course you will.
Our heart and soul. So.
Well, this is the thing, though. I mean, we used to do. We have been doing some of these afternoon shows with an audience at our BBC Edinburgh site, and even with quite a small audience there, and it's kind of out in the open air, but covered. You genuinely get a sense of real excitement and delight from that audience that they are out and about and they are being entertained, and that is mutual from the people on stage too.
Of course. I mean, the first gig I did was at the Manchester International Festival, and that was very special to get back on the stage. And it's such a necessary kind of thing for musicians to perform to people. It's like it defines who we are, really.
Well, it was interesting actually seeing it. I was at an intimate concert last night, the first one I've been at for probably a year. I've lost track of time like we all have, but it was at the Queen's Hall in Edinburgh, and it was Chrissie Hynde.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah, she was. I mean, she's such a wonderful person and a great performer. But it was so lovely to have that. There was much excitement about just being at a gig, but also it was such an intimate gig, and you could she was just there a few feet in front of us, and was
Yeah, no,
really
that
clearly enjoying it
yeah,
herself.
no. I mean, small gigs are wonderful, and especially with the music I'm playing this afternoon and this evening. I
Yeah,
actually really like playing in the afternoon, and my favourite time is actually sort of around 11 o'clock in the morning.
really.
I'd be quite happy to be done by 5.
Have you changed, Damon? I presume that wasn't always the case.
I, I've always been more of a day person than a night person, but I suppose with age, it's definitely become more
Yeah, yeah.
accentuated
So tell it.
as it does.
Yeah. So am I right then in thinking that these two shows you're doing tonight are very much you're dipping into the new record?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's getting close to. I mean, I finished the record in March, but it was kind of sort of decided that we give it a good run up. So yeah, I'm playing quite a lot of the album, but I'm also playing some other stuff that I think kind of gives it, because it's quite a downbeat record. So I think it's necessary for a live performance
Yeah.
to incorporate some other elements from my catalogue,
Yeah, of
so to
course.
speak.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that your fans who are listening will be breathing a sigh of relief that there's some of those songs in as
Oh
well.
yeah, no. There's lots of interesting stuff, and actually, I'm doing a few tunes that aren't even mine, but I've kind of
Aha.
been involved in.
Now, the title is intriguing. The nearer the fountain, more pure the stream flows. Damon, I mean, you know this. When you sort of look at it on the written page, you go, that's a mouthful. But actually, it flows. The nearer the fountain, more pure the stream flows. It does actually roll off the tongue better than one imagines. Tell us a
Well,
little bit about it.
because it's John Clare,
Yeah.
and he is absolutely a master at that kind of meter, and it's from a much bigger poem called Love and Memory, which I sort of have used throughout the record to kind of, I don't know. I've had that sort of rattling around in my head, that line from that poem, for a long time, and I suppose when I was asked to do something in Iceland, well, in fact, it started with somebody asking me, "You can do anything," and I said, "Well, what I think I've always dreamed of doing is getting a bunch of orchestral musicians and sitting in my front room in Iceland and looking over at the bay and the fjord and the mountain and in the distance the volcano that I'm very lucky to have outside my window there." So that's what we did, and yeah, it feels like that title just feels
Yeah.
it covers a lot of different emotions, and I sort of explore that in the record.
I only discovered John Clare, the Romantic poet. He's been called the peasant poet too. Sort of later in
Yeah.
life, he wasn't somebody that I heard about at school or even at university. I was studying literature. When did you
Well,
discover his work?
My mum gave me an anthology when I was leaving home, sort of around that point, and I kind of, I wasn't too much into poetry. Well, I was actually. That's not true. I was into poetry when I was that age. Yeah, so I've just always dipped in and out of his work, and I've sort of, because he spent a lot of time in Essex where I grew up, and he kind of lived for 15 years in a kind of retreat for people with mental health problems, which was quite. I mean, obviously not something that really people understood at the beginning of the 19th century. So he was very forward thinking in that sense, because after 15 years, he felt he was well enough to leave, and it was all his own, just a very self-aware man.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
soulful
Yeah,
guy.
as you say, kind of ahead of his time.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, I think, I, like many other people, have been, found solace and fun too through music, through the lockdown period, but also things like slow radio, lots of stuff where people are going on walks and you hear the sound of the ice cracking beneath their feet and all of that. So do you think you're kind of like almost, I guess it's not by accident, you have come through something, and you're also inspired by a particular landscape, but do you think that this record is sort of will speak to people because of everything we've all been through?
I think so. I think it does. Yeah. Everyone who's listened to it so far seems to feel that it's got some sort of resonance in that sense. But I mean, it's the music that I was doing in Iceland was very orchestral and completely inspired and sort of stimulated by the environment outside. So we'd play to the movement of the waves, and when it started snowing, we'd play to the rhythm of the snow, and then the wind, and and then also the outline of the mountain Estia. We sort of the central theme on the record is a kind of orchestral interpretation of the actual outline of the mountain.
Wow. Great. Well, look, have a blast tonight. Thank you so much for giving us your time today ahead of the
My
two
pleasure.
gigs this evening.
It's a beautiful sunny day in Edinburgh,
Yeah.
and it's one of the most. It's such a beautiful. I got here at like sunset, and it's just so beautiful.
Yeah,
it really is.
I was there last night, and it was it was just. I'm used to it, but it was like, what a great city this is, especially with the blue skies.
It is so beautiful.
Great. Well, I hope you can get out and breathe some fresh air before you set about doing your work tonight. Damon, thanks a million.
Okay, thank you.
Cheers. That's Damon Albarn.